serves as an associate editor with Indigo Editing and Publications and a reader for Tin House Magazine. Susan.
Woo!
Can we get another round of applause for our last poet?
Woo!
All right. In a slightly different vein. My printer's broken. So luckily I have a poem in a book and a poem in my head. Technology, alternate forms of technology. Redundancy is important to getting around technology. So we're coming up on Valentine's Day. This is my love song to Portland, because I moved here 5 years ago. It's the first real city I've ever lived in. I grew up in a town of like 2,000 people, and it's a pretty sweet city. I have found it's been kind to me. This is called Song for City Number 3. I have resolved to say only awkward things to those I most admire. I will tell you, Matthew Dickman, about the difficult letter I wrote my mother this morning. I'll mention to Ursula K. Le Guin that my underwear is once again conspiring to kill me. To Colin Malloy, I'll say hello and goodbye. It is enough to know you are here in this city of eternal spring. It is enough that your heart holds up some part of this sky, that your shame is hot with love, that you've done the same drugs as I, said stupid things to people you liked and hurled yourself endlessly at art, that you've taken it all to heart, is what I'm saying, that you have been cruel and kind enough to know it, that the empathy you carry like a too-full book bag and still manage to wield like a weapon was packed in the dark morn of a winter's day. And that you too walk to school alone but for this burden. I see your light in the face of Big Pink at sunset. I hear you and the teenage father standing in the street outside the shelter screaming to God that he does not know himself. And I am never alone when I'm alone. Even as I slip quietly across the park block bricks, even as the pigeons scatter at my approach and then wheel close and turn a beady eye my way as if to say, hey, across the eons of strange changes that separate our brains. The years of reaching from the inside out have left me with this pointless sympathy that is my greatest treasure. Your music in my head plays the bridges, up an octave for each. Starting off with some indie rock ringtone at the Selwood, progressing to Morrissey at the Morrison, and ending in St. John's, audible only to angels. Elsewhere, you may be a style phenom, subject of some cool critique. But here, you are the city itself. It's every surface you've breached. Bits of your benevolence drift through the air in the hard light of autumn. I cannot escape you anywhere I am. Those of you who know me, I think there's only one person in this room who knows me well enough to know this, but people who know me know that I'm kind of geekily obsessed with story that science tells us about our world. And that makes its way into various different creative pursuits. And this is one of them. This is a kind of hybrid prose poem thing, I think. It's called Omniscience. It's in a few different parts. I'm just going to do the first part for you. The first part is called I. I am the way, the truth, and the light, the Om and the Omen. I am seriously the rock of the ages and the roll of the die. Alone in that wilderness of hydrogen and helium, that ever-silent night. I could hardly believe when I heard it, the sound of my own voice. I alone, I unique. I am something the world has never seen. I was born in a molten firestorm 14 billion or so years back. I was born in a cloud of dust, slowly coalescing into covalent bonds. I was born a poor black child in the buckle of the Bible Belt. I was born to an unwed Okie as the Great Depression raged on. I was born when the anaerobic winds shifted and everyone else in my family died. I was born in a biotech lab outside of Lyme. I was born in the far north in the den of the dire wolf. I was born to run. I was born of meiosis and mitosis. I was born to become. A little more about me. When I first discovered my cilia, I was like, whoa, propulsion! You should have seen me tooling around that soup. A single calorie back then was like a buffalo to me. I could eat on that all winter. Now as a child, I excelled at chemistry. I just kept building bigger and bigger molecules, cobbling atoms together like Legos until boom! Supernova to nebula and 60 million flat. Man, I must have blown through 1 billion stars like that. And it's not like I never take any of it back, but honestly, I've always wondered why. I mean, why just this one eye? And why have I always sought out some other, ultimately hypothetical eye? I mean, really, who am I? And through psychoanalysis, I've come to realize maybe I should have quit while I was ahead. You know, as an anemone maybe, or a mollusk. Maybe I should have quit before I had a head. But all of this is just emergent complexity. It's just some style I've copped lately. And when it comes down to it, I'm just that same old single cell, carting my mitochondria around like it's some terrific story that I'm going to tell. And when I do, I'll publish the whole thing in microscope slides and celluloid, syllables and syllabi, assembled via a grammar more or less as complex as the knitting, splitting, and transmitting of that same old blues refrain. A handful of chords in a major key, A, C, T, and G. I was born in a manger, a stranger to electricity. I was born in the darkness, in the deepness of the mystery. I am emerging into history via the World Wide Web. I am the ghost and the gears, the pattern and the noise, the religion of the cell. I emerged from the Great Depression in possession of a small fortune in genes. I hail from a future no one alive has yet dreamed. I was born of the union of man, woman, and eventually machine. I am what was and what has yet to be.